Kingsley, man, it's good to see you, buddy.
Nice to be here.
Congratulations, Bob Marley, One Love. A hell of an accomplishment. I hope you're feeling good.
Feeling good.
Talk to me a little bit about, look, okay, you find out you get this role. They want you to play an icon in Bob Marley. Is it a mix of emotions? Is it?
They as in?
They, the family.
The family, yeah.
Right, not just anybody wants you
Yeah.
to be Bob, the family.
Yeah.
A mix of emotions like, this is gonna be an amazing adventure, and also, holy crap, what am I getting myself into? This is gonna be a lot.
Yeah, it's a very surreal moment just being with Ziggy at that time. It was a few days with him and his boys and spent time at the house, and we went to watch soccer, as you guys call it, and we were just driving around and eating and chilling and getting to know each other. And I think the whole thing's been pretty surreal, to be honest with you. Like, that moment was, yeah, wow, we've got a lot of work to do. Like, is this gonna happen? Are we gonna get the green light? Is it gonna go? Like, I came on really early, and my mind just filled with the amount of work, you know. The task was a big task with the language and the music, the language, finding Bob. Me and Bob are very, very different. So like trying to relax into, this is just about essence, I think probably took me the most amount of work, because I just wanted, you know, there's only so much you can control. So I can't shrink my shoulder width. I can't.
Yeah, you got a few inches on the great Bob Marley.
Just a few, yeah. So, but his voice and the language, I felt like was something that possibly could be achievable with the amount of help that I had and the team that we set up around me, really, to make sure that Bob's voice and Jamaican patois and the way Bob spoke specifically was something that we were constantly working towards. And there was never a moment where it was like, I got this. It's like, it was not that. It was every day, every scene, how would Bob say it, you know? And I had a lot of help, so yeah.
People have noted, look, you've played some other amazing icons in your young career already. I mean, do you feel like you have a handle on, like, could you write the book on how to approach icons at this point? Like, what would you say to other actors if they're like approaching a Bob Marley, a Barack Obama, etc.? Like, what's the first task at hand?
Turn the volume down on the icon.
Yeah.
And like,
they're human beings. At the
yeah,
end of
you
the day.
know it. Once you know that kind of takes care of itself. You can't enact in language, you can't play an icon. You just need to find a way to figure out what it was about them that made them human. And I think depending on who you're dealing with Bob, I was very lucky, because I spoke to multiple people who knew him and spent time with him and who loved him. Not just his family, but his friends and colleagues who were around at the time, who remember him in different situations and scenarios. Like, you know, with Malcolm, I didn't have anyone to talk to. So it was about trying to find gaps in his interviews where he seemed to be letting his guard down. And I remember relying really heavily on Dick Gregory, and Dick Gregory wrote some really beautiful things about Malcolm, and I trusted him, and then Regina, and you know, so it was about, I think it just depends on who you're dealing with.
But that's gotta be, you kind of like reference something I was gonna say, like, everybody means something different to people in our lives, to our friends and family, to different friends and family. It's not one person. You're 1,000 different people in a way. And like, you have all these resources, but like, depending on who you're talking to, what book you're reading, there are a lot of Bob Marleys.
Yeah.
So to find your kind of
Right.
amalgamation of the man must be kind of, again, overwhelming, but at some point you have to lock in and figure out like what your interpretation of.
Yeah, well, and it's exactly that. It's me interpreting Bob through me. It's not me, it's not being Bob. It's like, it's me trying to interpret his spirit in a way. And then I think if you're in a situation where you look visually very, very similar, tonally, like if you have a lot of things for free that make you like that person, and then you attach to a spirit, then there's obviously visually just going to be something more transformative, but that's actually got nothing to do with anything. It's always the essence first, do you know what I mean? So, you know, and different people are going for different things. Some people want to see a mimic. Some people want to see a copy. Some people want to see, I want to see exactly that. I want to see dreadlock exactly the same. And And then you have another audience who I'm one of, and you go, no, I want to go on an emotional journey. I want to believe what I'm seeing is true, you know. So I don't know, it kind of depends.
Would you be curious, I'm sure you've crossed paths with other great actors that have played like these kind of like amazing figures in music. Like if you were in a room with Austin Butler and Rami Malek, etc., would you have something to talk about?
I'm sure we would.
What would you want to know
I
from
saw
them?
Austin the other day at Steve Colbert. We just had like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Just like a secret, like, yep, I've been there, I did that.
Yeah, we didn't know we had a nice talk. But also, here's the other thing. No one made us do it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, no one put a gun to my head and said, you got to play Bob Marley.
Sure.
It's like, I also signed up to it, you know? So like, it's self-inflicted pressure, and pressure's a good thing sometimes.
Pressure's a privilege.
Pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, but there's always nerves with any job. You're nervous when you're going on to Barbie, you're nervous when you're going on to anything. I mean, you should be, you know. I worry the day when I don't, because then I'll be like, what am I doing here? Am I just here to pay the rent? You know what I mean? So I feel very lucky to have been in so many situations where I am feeling nervous, like it's first day of school. But that's a great.
That means you've got the interesting parts. You're pushing yourself,
and you feel alive.
Yeah.
You feel a bit alive, you know.
I want to talk about the physicality of Bob on stage, like such like a free spirit, loose. Like I can't imagine that vibe is necessarily Kingsley's vibe on a stage. Like so again, is that something where you just have to kind of like? Did you feel that in the moment? Like were you like? It's choreographed in a way, but it's also very loose, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a lot of help, and Polly, who worked with both Rami and Austin, was a huge help, and it was just about working out how I move and then figuring out how that's different to Bob. But the movement that really interested me with Bob was not so much like when he's on stage and when he's dancing, but to understand the psychology of someone who, you know, Bob moves very specifically, you know, it's like, and just connecting it to his experience and like what that means. And then things should just start happening, you know?
Like when you're in that moment though, like I'm curious, like I don't know how big a crowd there is out there when you're doing those kind of performance scenes.
There's enough to feel like it's a crowd.
Yeah.
You know, and then digitally they enhance it.
Yeah.
But there's enough to feel like, oh, you know, there's people watching.
Right.
And I guess in Jamaica it was intense in a different way because I knew everyone was Jamaican, and actually we were doing the Smile concert very close to where Bob did the Smile concert, and there's just a different, you know, energy in the air.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed those days. You're surrounded by musicians. You're constantly, you know, playing and hearing loud music. I mean, we were playing James Brown. Those guys could all play the songs, and all of those girls could sing. So, it's just days of music and joy.
So I don't know if you're the type of actor that like creates a playlist for a role. Like for Bob Marley, is the entire playlist, are you only listening to Bob Marley for months on end?
Pretty much. And then I'll dip into different bits of rap. I was actually listening to a lot of Bill Evans and Miles Davis, but I'd also listen to Bob acoustic and his bedroom tapes and stuff that Bob recorded that wasn't released.
Right.
They're just things I'd put on first thing in the morning just to hear him. He said he liked to write songs at 5 in the morning.
Yeah. And is that always part of the process, whether it's you're playing a musician or not? Is music always your way in?
Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always, but sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I think I had a Gravik playlist. And it was...
for Secret Invasion.
I think I did, yeah. And I'd listen to it, so I think I did, yeah.
You remember what you were listening to?
Some dark.
Yeah, I would think. Nothing,
dark stuff,
not musicals, nothing
no,
fun.
No, nothing fun. Yeah, I figured he didn't like music.
Right.
I was like, I don't think this guy likes anything or anyone.
I was gonna say, grumpy guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's into tunes.
Interesting connection. I saw Brad Pitt showed up at the premiere. He's a producer on the film. Plan B always makes amazing work. Now, was your film debut in World War Z, speaking of Brad Pitt?
It was like a week after I graduated from drama school.
Was that an intimidating, exciting moment to be on a
well,
giant movie?
Well, it was great. We all went down to Falmouth on this ship for a week. But I went down to, it was Soldier 1, 2, and 3. And as I was on the way down, and it was like a little moment with him where we're all by the computers and then just have like one line. And then they cut it. They said, Soldier 3's been cut. We just need 1 and 2. So then I spent the week over on the other side of the ship. But then the first assistant director came over at the end of the week and said, we've got some other lines for you to do. all those guys who had those lines with Brad got cut.
1 and 2, God.
And mine stayed in, so it all worked out. I didn't get to speak it to Brad, but I got a line in the film.
Does Brad know?
I'd say he's probably far too busy to care about my one line. Yeah.
It's a fun connection, though.
Yeah.
We were talking before when you came in. It's been a busy time for you. You've had some amazing work, Secret Invasion, this, Barbie, of course. So when you were shooting Barbie, you were prepping for this. So give me a sense, a little bit of the dichotomy, like where your head's at. You're in Barbie land. Are you also like, I need to get back to my trailer and listen to Bob?
It was just that. It was just that, really. I just dates and times and trying to figure out how I was going to fit all of the learning in. I had a guitar and Sadella had sent me all of Bob's interviews that only the family have. And I just started doing it. Whenever there was a gap on Barbie, they'd say cut. And then my instinct was to just start to play or to start to, to listen. That just just organically happened that way. And we were doing that for 3 months.
Yeah.
3.5 months. I was like, I can't lose 3.5 months prep on Bob, and I got Ken, like I got him.
You're like, I got this.
I got this guy. I understood him. There's kind of no brain there, I live to serve Ken Ryan.
Right.
What he feels, I feel, just a little bit more. And that's it. So it was just fun. It was nice to do something so fun before something so intense, I think.
What was like the camaraderie among the Kens on set and being in that fantastical world? I mean, that must have been just like, that is...
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Good vibes and a lot of fun. And both Ryan and Margot, they're leaders and they're just great examples and they set a beautiful tone and a lot of laughter. I just remember a lot of laughter. You find we'd be doing some scenes, that beach off, I'll beat you off. I'm just like, wow, this is genius.
Can we keep doing this all day?
Yeah. It was great. And the war, I remember doing the war and I was like, what are we doing, Because everything's soft, but to like imaginatively, as if you are, to feel like you're gonna die. It just becomes so fun to play because it's so ridiculous. And I'd never done comedy before and I was like, more of this, please, it's joyous.
I'm sure.
Joyous.
Well, it translates on screen. I often talk to actors like being almost more starstruck by musicians than fellow actors.
Big time.
You were at the Grammys. What was it like? Was it
crazy, crazy. There's one moment I looked that way and Stevie Wonder was about 3.5 meters away from me. And I was like, he's gonna sit down and play the piano right there. And I was just like, wow, this is insane. But it was just like moment after moment of, I met Busta Rhymes on the way out.
What do you say? What's the conversation started with Busta Rhymes?
I wanted a photo, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't disturb him. And then he turned, I didn't realize that he's close to the family. So he knew who I was. So then we ended up having a really nice chat for like 5-10 minutes and got a little photo and yeah. But definitely musicians and footballers.
Right.
Soccer player.
I got you.
Yeah.
But not actors really. I mean, there'd be a few.
Sure.
Benicio, Jeffrey Wright, Viggo Mortensen.
This is a good list. This is
Like those guys, I'd have to compose myself, but I'd be all right.
Right.
Did
you have any emotional moments watching? I mean, not watching at home like everybody, like the Tracy Chapman moment, obviously.
We missed that because they wouldn't let us in until the advert break. So I was just sort of like watching her between the curtains. I thought Travis Scott was really interesting and Annie Lennox and is her name Fantasia?
Yeah, Fantasia Barrino.
She was incredible. Yeah, it was a great night.
So, Bob Marley's music is almost like, a religion for some fans, like the super fans. They grow up with it, they're obsessed with it. I'm sure you were a fan, but I'm curious, like, who was that for you? What musicians, what artists, whether it was actors or musicians, what were the posters on your wall? Set the scene for me a little.
Probably Stevie.
Yeah.
His albums, his albums were, I was playing his albums, I think from maybe 11 or 12. And I sort of went through them all over the years in different stages, and even the stuff from the 80s, like in the Square Circle. And so I kind of, my knowledge of Stevie's music, it was all my teens and 20s was Stevie. and Donny Hathaway as well.
And what about on the film side? What were the first actors you were obsessed with, or movies you were quoting back and forth to your friends?
I do remember watching every single episode of Inside the Actors Studio multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking of Benicio. I don't know why.
I was going to say Benicio. I remember that episode too. Yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I keep thinking of Benicio because I think I was watching Traffic last night, so I think that's why he's on my mind. It reminded me of his like how special he is. You know,
Yeah.
He's a one-off.
Just watched Sicario again the other week.
And I mean, it's incredible. But yeah, I'd say In America was probably the first movie that really made me have like an emotional response.
In America, the Jim Sheridan movie?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I saw it when I was 15, 16, and I didn't know what I was going to watch. And I remember sitting there and my throat, you know, when your throat goes. And I was 15, 16, so I didn't want anyone to know that I was crying. I just felt so embarrassed. But yeah, I remember, and that stuck with me. I was like, wow.
Yeah. That's
You
another.
can have such a strong reaction to something.
Yeah, some beasts of actors in that. Patty, Constantine, Samantha Morgan, right?
Diamond, yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids are gorgeous in it as well. It's really, that film carries a really special feeling.
So you know, again, I know coming full circle, people always mention kind of all these like icons, which as you say, like they're human beings at the end of the day, you got to approach them like that. That being said, like as you continue in your career, you're like, I'm gonna play a normal guy or two, like not a recognizable name or two, or does it, at this point, is that almost stupid to kind of like limit yourself? Like if the right role comes and they happen to be famous, great, but.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it's good writing and good writing and good director and yeah, and then the part. Yeah, it's easy for me to sit and say, yeah, you know, I'm good with playing real life people. But actually, if someone came tomorrow and it was a brilliant script and a brilliant part, you're just gonna follow the writing, the character and the director, and hope that they all kind of align.
Some people are still really bummed. High Fidelity never got the second season.
Me too.
Did that kind of, I mean, I know Zoe still talks about it, the fans still talk about it.
Sucks. I thought it was great, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it was a great show. Zoe killed it. I really have no idea how it works and how they decide these things, and then obviously how well something does in terms of views is also dependent on how much money they put into the marketing. You know, it's not always to do with the quality. But I just think there was something so original and fresh and about it. It was a shame. It was a shame. I normally don't mind when things don't go or they get cancelled because I always feel like, oh, then there'll be you're now available for other stuff. But with that, I had such a great time here. I lived in New York for 9 months.
Just a sense of unfinished business. Like we were just getting going. The fans seem to love it. It's working.
Well, I just had
What's the
such a
problem?
great time here in New York when we were filming it. So I just have my associations with it are purely positive, and Zoe created such a wonderful vibe. We all became friends and we were all going out and enjoying the city as well. And so we were having a great time. So it's a shame, I don't know.
You never know in this landscape. Things come back around.
Exactly, you never know. Someone might come and try and get it back. Yeah, and Divine as well. Divine, she was amazing in it. And yeah, and David as well. We had a good time. Jake, good vibes.
I'm very happy for you, man. You're always killing it in this role. I mean, it was quite an undertaking, and you more than delivered. Folks should check it out. Bob Marley, One Love. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Come back to New York.
Yes, I'll be
More
here.
theater, High Fidelity, whatever brings you here.
Something, just
I'll
an
be here for
excuse
you.
to be here in New York.
We want you back here.
Always.
Congrats again, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Good to see you.
Nice one.
Thanks, man.